Good morning. Thank you for your patience. Welcome to the bucket courses. Everything you want to learn before you kick the bucket. We're glad to see you. My name is Barb Lease, and I'm filling in for Sarah this morning. Here are a few things you need to know before we start. Please silence your cell phones. If you have a T-coil, you can turn it on. If there is discussion at the end or time for questions, we'll bring around the microphones. And if you're able, afterwards, please put your chair up on one of the dollies. There's dollies in the front and the back. Okay, now for the main event. I feel like, can you hear me okay? I feel like my mic is not, it's on, but it's not it's not very loud. Okay, I will use my teacher voice. I am looking forward this morning to learning about Mid-Iowa Community Action, which we all know as MICA. And to that end, we are pleased to have with us from MICA this morning, Mindy Clayton, the Poweshiek Family Development Partnership Manager, and Abra Dougherty, the Resource Development and Communication Coordinator. They are here to tell us all the ways that MICA supports local communities and makes a difference. Please help me welcome Mindy and Abra.
Okay, is it working? Okay, good. Look at that. I didn't get the subtitles to work though, sorry. So I am Abra Dougherty, and we both have the longest titles at MICA, Resource Development and Communications Coordinator and Family Development Partnership Manager. She's also the FaDSS Coordinator, so she takes the cake for the longest one. So I am, basically my job is to tell MICA's story. I've been here almost 12 years. I've done lots and lots of different things at MICA, and so now I get the pleasure of meeting people in the community and telling our story. I do our Facebook page, social media, interviews, that kind of thing. And so Mindy, if she wants to talk, I can let her introduce herself.
Is this working? Yes, it is working. Okay. I've been with MICA for almost 27 years this summer, and I work out of the Grinnell office, and I coordinate the Family Development Self-Sufficiency Program, which is our home visitors going into the homes of families through central Iowa. And then also I help with the food pantry and emergency services that we offer in our Grinnell office, and coordinating community events for that, and food drives, and being on several different community coalitions too, to represent MICA and the families that we serve.
Is it back on? So we're open. This mic makes me look really fancy and professional, but I'm not. So please just shout out your questions or raise your hand throughout the thing. This is very informal. I want to hear from you and want to answer any questions that you might have. So don't feel like you have to wait for me to take a breath. Please just answer questions. All right. So I wanted to start with, what is community action? What makes MICA MICA? So in 1964, President Lyndon Johnson declared the war on poverty. And from that came community action. And so we were started to provide the direct support to people experiencing poverty, and focused on that community need. So if you've seen one community action, you've seen one community action. We're all very, very different. We really focus our needs towards each community that they're in. So even the services that we provide here in Poweshiek County look different than what we do in Marshall County and Story County. So there are over 1,000 of us across the U.S. We cover 96% of the nation's counties. And in Iowa, we cover all the counties. There's 16 of us. Again, we're all very different, but what makes us the same is the Community Services Block Grant, or what we call CSBG. So that is money that we get from the federal government that we are able to use sort of unrestricted to kind of meet those needs. So, you get a Head Start grant. That is a very specific money that does very specific things, where CSBG allows us to do a little bit more of what the community needs at the time. And then our board is very unique. So we have 1/3 of the members of our board are from the families that we serve with the low-income community. Currently, our board chair, the boss of all of MICA, is a family of ours, and so it's really cool. 1/3 can be anyone from the private sector, and then 1/3 are public officials. So we are required to make that happen. All right. So we serve children and families in the heart of Central Iowa. So we cover Poweshiek, Tama, Marshall, Story, and Hardin. Some of our programs extend beyond those core counties, but that's kind of where our focus is. And then I don't know if you can see my shirt, but we're celebrating 60 years. So we've been doing it for a long time. Our mission is to help families experiencing poverty meet their needs, build on their strengths, and achieve their goals. And our vision is resilient Central Iowa communities where all people thrive. So that's kind of behind every little thing that we do. Got a little ahead of myself here, but these are our core counties. Okay, so this is a fun stat. I don't know if fun is the right word, but interesting. If you take anything away from me today, I want you to remember that poverty is an us problem. So by age 35, nearly 1/3 of the U.S. population will have experienced poverty for at least a year in their life. So for one person, that's making less than $15,650 a year. So if you think about rent and transportation and all those things, $15,650 doesn't go very far. By age 55, more than 40% will have experienced poverty, and then by age 75, almost 60% of all Americans will have experienced poverty. And then additionally, 76% will have spent at least 1 year. So basically, it's all of us. It's going to affect all of us. Maybe you can remember a time that you had a hardship, or family or friends that have. So this affects all of us. All right. So this is from Common Good, Iowa. They do a lot of stats that we like to share. So it's kind of hard to see, but in Poweshiek, the median income right now yearly for a married couple with 2 children is $31,167. So that's how much they're making in the home. That's a median figure. So just kind of keep that in your head, 31,000, okay? Then they do what's called a cost of the basic family budget. So they take the very basics, what you have to live to survive, and they calculate how much money would a family need to be able to just cover those expenses. And they have it broken out here by single parent, single individual, married couple, no children, 2 working parents, and 2 parents, 1 working. So if you remember on the previous slide, the median income was around $31,000 for 2 parents, 2 children. So if you look under there, the annual total expenses to meet their basic needs budget, nothing extra, nothing, no movie theater, no extracurriculars, is $69,675 for Poweshiek. So we can see right there they're not being able to meet their basic needs based off the median income and then what the total basic needs budget is. So to meet that, one person would have to be working for a job that makes $19.18 an hour full time. So I think that's just kind of interesting to show what families are making. They're working full time, but it's not covering the costs of their basic needs. Okay. Any questions on that or the data, where they get it from? Okay. So I thought we would start a little bit of what poverty looks like a little bit in Grinnell. And again, very specific questions. Mindy's our girl. So we do a community needs assessment once every 3 years. We'll do our next one next year. So this is from 2023. And I pulled in some U.S. Census data as well. And so Poweshiek in our service area has the highest percentage of poverty, seniors living in poverty. So it's 13.3 individuals ages 65 and up are living in poverty in Poweshiek County. I think the closest one we have to that might be Marshall, and that's like 11%. So we have Poweshiek has the lowest percentage of children enrolled in preschool in our service area. But the unemployment rate is 2.5%. So pretty low. A lot of people are working, not unemployed. Any thoughts on that one? Okay. In our community needs assessment, for the first time in a really long time, food was the top need across our service area. So we've really been focusing on food and making sure that people are able to eat. So 33% of children in Poweshiek County qualify for free or reduced lunch. 2022 data states that over 2,000 people are food insecure, so they do not have enough food to meet their needs, and they're hungry some of the time, or they're worried about where their next meal is going to come, having enough food for everyone. In March of 2025, 544 households received SNAP benefits, so that's the food stamps. So the average meal, per meal benefit from SNAP is $1.81, and the average meal cost in Poweshiek for a person is $3.95. So not really covering the whole need there either. Not even half. So these are what our families are experiencing. Poweshiek has 7.242% of households. That might be a typo. But Poweshiek has the highest number of families without a motor vehicle in our service area as well. So we think of Poweshiek and the rural qualities of Poweshiek. Families are not able to get where they need to go because they don't have a vehicle. So it's a huge barrier for them trying to find rides, paying someone's gas. A quarter of Poweshiek families are cost burdened by their housing, which means 30% of their income or higher is going towards their housing costs. 12% are severely cost burdened, meaning 50% of their income or higher is going to their rent and housing costs. And then a quarter of Poweshiek homes have one or more substandard conditions. So this can be the cost burdened, so they're paying more, not enough bedrooms for people, but also includes lacking complete plumbing or a full working kitchen. So 5% of those homes do not have complete plumbing or kitchen. Yeah. Yes, but I need to double check because for some reason I'm thinking I typed it wrong. So don't quote me on that one, but yes. Should be
Make sure
percentage.
you repeat the question.
Oh, she asked if the 7.42 at the top was a percentage. Yes, it should be a percentage. It's a typo on me. Sorry about that. Any other questions? Thoughts? I'm kind of throwing a lot of data at you. Sorry, that's kind of my jam. But it does show a good picture, so we'll get to that. So remember in the beginning, our slide said the median income from common good was around $31,000. So this is pulled from Child Care Resource and Referral. So their median family income is a little bit different, and I am unsure why those numbers don't quite match. So that's a rabbit hole for me to go down another day. But according to Child Care Resource and Referral, the average weekly income is $1,601. So if a family is earning $83,000, 9% of their income before taxes pays for childcare, for a home daycare, and 14% of their income before taxes if their child is in a daycare center. So centers are more expensive. So when we think about that, the lower your income goes, those prices of the childcare isn't decreasing the lower your income goes. So their percentage going to childcare is much higher. So you think about a family who's already paying 30% or more for their housing costs. Now they're going to pay 20-30% for their childcare. There's not a lot left for anything else. So I just thought that's kind of an interesting way to show what families are facing. And childcare access was the top ranked need for families specifically in Poweshiek County. And then healthcare. 3.3% of children in Poweshiek County are not covered by any medical insurance. 37% are covered by Medicaid. Currently, no dental providers that I'm aware of in Poweshiek take Medicaid. So then families who might have a barrier to transportation then have to drive to Des Moines, to Iowa City, to Ames to find a clinic that will take their Medicaid. And this problem is really only growing and getting worse. with dental providers. So it's causing a huge barrier for families. And then high stress was also a top need for families in Powashik County. So when we do for our community, so she asked what does high stress mean? What does that look for families? So when we did our community needs assessment in 2023, we pulled in families and had a focus group, and they shared that they were experiencing high stress. So I should have brought my community needs assessment. I can pull it up, but stress about paying their bills, trying to find childcare or getting where they needed to go, those kind of things. Families were experiencing a ton amount of stress. That was one of their top needs. I can pull up our community needs assessment too, or send it out. It has a lot more data in it for numbers, people. Anything else? All right. So what is MICA doing, or what do we do? So in 2024 fiscal year, we served 25,157 people in our service area. 14% of those families are under 50% of the federal poverty line. So for a family of four people, I have a family of four, $16,075. That's the line of the federal poverty level for 50%. I can't imagine trying to run my household with my two little kids on that income. And then of the 25,000 people, 7,808 individuals, should be individuals, not families, apologize, resided in Powashik County. Man, we should have had somebody check this. All right, so our Powashik County Family Services building is at 609 4th Ave here in Grinnell, and it's our one-stop shop. So we've really been trying to eliminate barriers for families and having all of our services in one location. So they're not having to go here for this and there for this, and Head Start's over here. And Powashik was one of our first ones to do that, so it's really cool. They have an emergency food pantry. We have a Head Start classroom. Our home visitors are housed there. Our WIC staff and maternal and child health staff come and do clinics there. And then we also provide energy assistance and crisis assistance. So MICA as a whole, we have kind of 4 buckets that we put our services in: health, early childhood education, family development, and housing. But we really see them as gears that work together. So if you come into our emergency food pantry and you're there for food, we are also going to try and see if you can connect to any other programs that might fit your needs, so that you're getting all the services that can really help you kind of get out of that hard time. So do you need help with your energy bill? Do you have childcare? Would you like someone to come into your home? FaDSS is our most intensive program, but they sit down with families in their home and they're working on those goals and helping them kind of sort through all of that stuff. So we have tons of programs underneath of these. These are just kind of the buckets that we put them in. Any questions about any of these? Yeah. Okay, the question was, what hours are we open for the food bank? And it is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 9 to 4?
No, Tuesday's 10 to 4.
Oh, we'll let Mindy. She's the Grinnell.
Monday, we are open from 9 until 4. Tuesday, we don't open until 10 and stay open till 4. And then Wednesday, we are closed to the public. Thursday and Friday is 9 to 4. That's when we can take donations as well. Yeah, go ahead. Yes, we do deliveries on, do we help families get food that may not be able to come to our center? And the answer is yes. We do deliveries. So families need to call in and request that, and then we can do twice a month deliveries to their home. We usually do those on Tuesday, and we have volunteers that help with that. And I need to point out Kathy and Clay over here are 2 fantastic volunteers that help us get our food rescue, so we can provide that food. So we couldn't do it without our amazing volunteers. So. how do we determine how much food a family gets? It is based off the family size. So when a family comes into our office, we ask how many individuals are in the home. And so the amount of food is based off of that. We have some cards that show us, if you're a family of 4, you'll get this allotment. Or if you're a family of 1, it will be less. And then we have frozen meat too available, and then fresh produce and bakery available to anyone out in our front lobby.
The idea is that it's about 3 to 5 days worth of food for that family size. Doesn't always work out perfect, but that's kind of the guidance that we use for those family size. We partner with the Food Bank of Iowa and our other 2, but Northeast Iowa Food Bank here for kind of helping us figure that out.
Could you highlight what sources of food donations, where they come from locally, so people have an idea of who's helping?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so our donations come from different businesses, might run like a food drive for us. Local churches do. We get food from Walmart, frozen meat, fresh produce, bakery goods that are close to expiration. We also get bakery items from Hy-Vee, and we also partner with the Food Recovery Network. So we do have food that is already prepared that families can take. And then we purchase food from the Northeast Iowa Food Bank, which is relatively lower cost than a local grocery store. And we do have to buy sometimes from Hy-Vee or Fairway if the food bank doesn't have something that we need. We also partner with the United Methodist Church to offer toilet paper to families. So that is something that they can't buy with their SNAP benefits. Several businesses will do like personal hygiene or household drives for us for families to be able to have soap or shampoo. Those are always needed items. And that's something, again, that SNAP benefits cannot pay for, but families definitely need those. Does that kind of answer? Yeah. We also work a lot with the Farm to Table group, and with them working with local farmers, we get meat as well. So that's been a big help. And then also local farms that donate eggs has been a huge help for us to get more protein sources to our families.
I'm wondering about the people who come to you for help. Do they register ahead of time? Do you have I can't think of the word that I want, but people who come regularly, can somebody just come in off the street because they need help, or how does that work?
Yeah. Anyone can walk through our doors, and we will ask them what brings them in today. And there is no pre-sign up if you need to use our food pantry. Families can come twice a month, and they can do that back-to-back days or whatever works for their family. If someone is new to town, they can walk through our doors. We can get them signed up. It's very easy. We just take their name, address, just some demographic questions, who's in the household, their names, birth dates, and an address, and we can help get them food that very same day. And then the food rescue, as I was talking about, like fresh produce, bakery items, are in our front lobby, and people can come in daily to look at that and get that stuff with not even needing to use the choice pantry to get a full food box. So,
And there's no income guideline, so anyone could come in and use it. We don't check it for the food, so anyone could walk in. Yeah.
The food recovery, what businesses donate?
Yeah, so Food Recovery works a lot with the Grinnell College on their food that they normally would just have thrown away as waste. So the Food Recovery gets their food and repackages it, and then they do a lot of delivery around to people that can't get out of their homes. And then whatever they don't deliver to the families' homes, they bring to MICA, and then we put in our coolers for anyone to be able to take. I think they might work with, I don't know if they work with Grinnell Mutual. I think at one time they had, when they probably had more employees and their cafeteria running. I don't know if they still do, but I know the main source is Grinnell College.
I work with Food Recovery, and they, you're right. When we can't get it delivered or keep it, we don't want to keep it very long because it's already a day old, and we package that, and we can't get rid of it. We bring it to you that way, and we are not working with which you just mentioned.
Oh, no more with Grinnell Mutual. No, just the college. Is that where you get your food from?
Mayflower.
Okay.
In the college, and then one of our people that help is from Brooklyn, and the Ruritans down there will put on something, and any of that Food Recovery they bring. We have people who will make food for a group of people or what have you, and they don't use it all. As long as it's it's not used, then they bring that to us. We have a lot of different sources, but the most of it comes from the college.
Thank you.
Loving it. All right. We were talking about the food pantries. So this, we have been seeing record numbers in all of our food pantries over the last couple years. And so these are the amount of food boxes we've given. We were just looking at the March and April, and we're curious as to why that's a little bit lower. But we did reach over 500 food boxes given to families in January, and that was pretty regular up until then. So, but yeah, so we're serving 400 to 500 food boxes a month to families. So sometimes 2 for each family, sometimes just 1, depending on it. And then they can come in for that food rescue. Because food was one of our top needs, that's kind of been our focus. So the food pantries. We also started a sponsorship program. It was one of our staff's ideas. Were pretty cool. So we partnered with Fairway and seniors who don't qualify for food stamps or get like $40 in food stamps, which, as we know, is not going to get them very far. We were able to enroll them in what we're calling our sponsorship program, and they get a $100 gift card to Fairway every month for a year. And they're able to use that on those hygiene items or whatever they need it for. And we're coming up on our time to do our last survey about how that's affected them. But the first ones families shared I won't have to overdraw my account this month. I can get my medicine and eat. So they're not having to make those really hard choices because of this extra help. So they do come to our food pantry too, and then they also get this $100 to help them out. And then our WIC participation numbers, so that's a supplemental nutrition program for children 5 and under, and then pregnant women. And so we are serving between 200 and 250 every month here in Poweshiek. Okay. This one, we just wanted to show kind of what it looks like in Poweshiek funding-wise. Some people, I think you hear of MICA, you hear that we get federal dollars, and I'm saying you as just everyone hears, and people think that we will have this extra funding. And so we do get federal money, and like I said, CSBG is used to cover, but like Head Start, they're not going to cover the food pantry. They're going to pay for very specific things, and LIHEAP pays for very specific things. So our food pantry and all of the services that come with that, and then if families come in and just need connected to other resources, or just need that support from someone to help, through something, is all community-based funding. So we don't get, and there's no grant dollars that come in for our food pantries or those one-on-one services. So I just like to show that, like, no federal, no state grants come here. So contributions and public support is 63% of our budget for the food pantry and our Power Chic office. And then the other way is through foundation giving and United Way support. So we couldn't do it without the community, and Power Chic has a really an amazing community that supports each other, so that's something to celebrate. I promise we're almost close. So I threw this in here, so we've really been focusing, I'm sure you all heard the news. Things are getting kind of dicey for us, so we've really been focusing hard on advocating for our families, advocating for what we do, showing the world what does MICA do. So we like to protect the confidentiality of our families, and we don't do it for the glory, right? We're not here to help families because we want somebody to know that we're here. But the struggle with that is then people don't know the effects of our work, and then we have people questioning things. So we've really been trying and connecting with policymakers and community partners to really show what we do, lift up the family voices, and have them know who we are and know why our work is important and what we're doing. So that's been a huge push in the last year or so, even more so lately. So if you'll see there, Mindy's in the food pantry with Dean Fisher. He was our first one that we brought. And then we also go to the Capitol and meet with people on the Hill. So another kind of piece of our work that we do. This slide may or may not be helpful. If you're interested in learning more about poverty and how it affects families, kind of from their point of view, these books are really good. Obviously, if you have time, I have read Made. It's very good. There's also the Netflix show. If you're big Netflix watchers, Made, the show on Netflix is from this book. So, and I got to meet the author last year in Seattle, so that was really cool. All right, that is all of my basics. Do we have any more questions or comments? Or, oh yeah, look at those hands popping right up. What do we need the most? Ooh, I'm gonna say my answer, and then I'll let Mindy say her specific answer. So MICA in whole, we need people to share our stories. We need people to talk about what we do, share our Facebook page, just explain, what families are experiencing. So any sort of connections you can make for us would really help us right now to share our story, so that people know that we are making an impact. And Mindy will have a much tangible more need.
I think for the Power Chic County community, I agree with Abra, of course, is sharing our story, being there for our families right here in our own community. And you can support that by supporting us at the local level at our Grinnell office with whether it be food donations or monetary donations, or if you or someone you know want a volunteer experience, we are always looking for volunteers as well. So those are some specific things for the Power Chic County office where we have our food pantry and other sources of support for families.
Mindy, you might also mention that at Fairway people can buy the $30, donate $30. You might mention that program.
Yes, I forgot about that. Thank you, Kathy, because Kathy gets those weekly from Fairway. They have pre-made bags of canned goods and non-perishable food for our families that we can take. A lot of those go down to Searsboro. We go to Searsboro once a month and deliver close to 36 to 40 food packages a month. And so we've been doing that for several years now. But yeah, at Fairway, the bag costs $30, so you can purchase the bag and then it'll be delivered to MICA. And it's really easy and slick to do that. And it's all ready to go for families. So thank you, Kathy. Yeah, any other questions about food?
I'll take that. You want me to take that?
Yes, I'll let Abra take that.
So there was, the question is, she shared that she'd heard that there was some talk or rumors about Head Start funding being cut or pulled out. So that is a worry for us. It was the president provides what he wants his budget to be, and it goes to Congress and they get to choose. But on his first initial budget that was leaked, Head Start, CSBG, so those are dollars, and LIHEAP were zeroed out, which means he didn't want any money to go to those programs. This more recent iteration of his budget that he's leaked, Head Start seems to be okay. CSBG and LIHEAP, I think, are still in the works of being cut out. So it goes to Congress, and that's kind of why we're meeting with people. Our executive director has gone to DC. We've met with Ernst and Grassley and Feenstra and their team. But it is a concern of ours and something that we're kind of working on. So that advocacy piece is really important for us right now, is to kind of tell that Head Start story and share why it matters and what it does. But yes, there is a potential. We also had some state funding cuts. They're not official yet, but we assume that they will be official, where we had state grants that kind of allowed us to go longer days, longer hours to provide for working families, and we no longer receive that funding. So,
do you recall vouchers for rotisserie chickens? Some years ago, I arranged with Fairway and also Hy-Vee at different times to make available vouchers that they would take a dollar off. If the chicken was selling for $13, you could buy a voucher for $12 and bring it to MICA, and MICA would hand it to a family, and it would make a family of four 2 meals. Mm-hmm. You remember this?
I do not, but I've been at MICA for a long time, but I haven't always been with the Poweshiek County food pantry part of it. So I'm wondering if that was maybe before I stepped into the food pantry specific role, but we would entertain that idea again if a partner wanted to sponsor some vouchers so families could get more protein.
Yeah. All right, back in the back. Oh, whoever, yep. Oh.
We have to use the mic because it doesn't pick up on our cable unless it goes through the mic. When cash donations are sent to the Marshalltown Administrative Office,
yep,
what is the allotment procedure for the various counties?
Ooh. I can take that because I'm the person that gets them in Marshall County or in Marshalltown. That's where my office is, and I handle the donations. So when you send something to us at the administrative office, if you mention the Poweshiek County office, it will go right into the Poweshiek budget. So our fiscal team is there. All of our financial stuff goes through Marshalltown, but then it's divvied out in these accounts. I'm not an accountant, and I don't know how it works, but that money will go directly to the Poweshiek budget to be used here. Does that answer your question? Okay, good.
Yeah, I mean, we encourage, if you want it to stay in Grinnell, Poweshiek County,
Yep.
MICA, that it says that on the check.
Yeah,
Anything
easier
that
for
we
us.
get in our mailbox or someone brings into our office, we already
just
know
know.
that it's
Yeah.
for Grinnell, it's for Poweshiek County. And so we'll make sure that the memo line has that on there, or ask
Yeah.
the person to write that on there. If it is sent to Marshalltown, and if it doesn't say Poweshiek or Grinnell,
Yeah, you
Can
can,
you-
on the next page, is my contact information. I can give you my phone number. So if for some reason that's happened in the past and you don't know if it had that, you can get a hold of me and I can figure out where it went to make sure that it gets in the right place or make notes for future. But yeah, if you tell us you want to stay in Poway, it goes directly into that budget. Oh, I forgot there was a break. Okay. I don't really have any fancy slides for this next round. we kind of are open to questions, and we'll dive a little bit more into some of our programs, and we have some cool stories to share. So there's a question brought up about homelessness and what resources there are, or what we're doing. That's Mindy's area here.
Okay, you may or may not have heard that Poweshiek County, Grinnell specifically, is partnering with Central Iowa Shelter and Services. We are not putting up a shelter for homeless people. However, it is going to be a resource stop for families that may be experiencing homelessness or are homeless or near facing evictions. We, not MICA, but I am on a housing coalition for Grinnell. And so with different funds from federal and state, Central Iowa Services Shelter bought Sweet Treats, the place right by Medicap Pharmacy. There is renovation going on inside the building, and that will be our Empowerment Housing Command Center. It is not a shelter, but it's a place for families to come and get help, whether it's filling out applications for a job or applications for an apartment or a place that someone might need to do their laundry or have a meal. The plan is to have a noon meal for families. The schedule ribbon cutting is going to be May 21st. I think there'll be more information to come about that. But that is one step that we've been working on for this area for homelessness. Right now, during our hours, we do have families that come in right now and say that they're homeless or facing eviction. So we give them different referrals. Kate Slater at the Housing Authority, her office is in the basement of the city offices. She is able to provide a few nights of a hotel voucher for a family, and then also get them connected to Lindsay Sim is an outreach worker for Central Iowa Shelter and Services, and she works with landlords that can get people housed. Nothing can happen overnight, right? But she is the person that we refer to work with families that might be experiencing homelessness in our community. Then our wait list, or the wait list for the Housing Authority of Section 8 vouchers, is about 15 plus months. So it does take a long time to get that voucher for a family to use and then find a landlord that would be willing to accept it too. So we are, we know that that's an issue. We're trying to work on different things. There's a grant that Lindsay, who I was talking about, works with. It's the TBRA. It's Temporary Based Rental Services, and so she has been able to get some families in on that grant and get them housed. So if you know that someone is homeless, refer them to MICA, and we can get them connected to Kate or Lindsay, or give Kate a call with the Housing Authority. That's kind of what we can do in the interim.
Could you explain the color coding of that map there in the middle with all the states?
Okay, so I don't remember. I'm sorry. And my computer is frozen, so I can't even go back and tell you. So I'm sorry about that. I really am not sure why it's different colors. I can find that out and let you know.
Do you know where this information came from? You can go to the National Community Action Association web site, and there's lots of information about community actions and stuff. But yeah, so there's a National Community Action Agency Association, but then there's also an Iowa Community Action Association that that then helps us local community action agencies. So
Sorry.
yeah.
I was reading that the present administration is planning on ordering a cut in Section 8, the housing. Have you heard anything on that? Are those just threats? Is there...
I do not know if it's just threats or not. I guess I wouldn't be surprised if something like that was cut. I mean, there's been talk of like the energy assistance and Head Start.
You haven't heard directly?
No.
Good,
No.
I guess.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Since I don't see people begging on the street or in bicycles like I do in the city, how is homelessness represented in Grinnell? How do you see homelessness? Is it in their cars?
That is a great question. Thank you for asking that, because a lot of people in our community do not think homelessness is a problem, but it certainly is. So what it looks like here in Grinnell and Poweshiek County is a family doubling up with another family or friend. They're couch surfing. They're not maybe sure where they're going to sleep the next night. So it looks like that. We've had families that have slept in their cars. So it definitely looks different in this community compared to a big city. But we have that, and we have families every day, close to evictions and not knowing what they're going to do. Yeah, so it does look different, but it's definitely a problem here.
Is there any way that the Grinnell community can be helpful in, I know that low-income housing is important, but how low of the income, I mean, how are we going to get people into housing in Grinnell? How are we going to do that?
So the Grinnell Housing Coalition that I am a part of, and then some other key partners.
It's not working. You're not working.
Hello? Uh-oh. It went red. Still on, though.
My computer's not working. The mic's not
Okay.
working. We're really going good.
So how can the Grinnell community support? I think it's advocating for the families that we work with. We need to get more landlords on board of being accepting of the Section 8 vouchers and working with our families. And when the Empowerment Command Center is open, we will be looking for volunteers to work there. To greet the families that come in there, to answer the phones, to work with families on different paper applications, and just being a listening ear for families that might come into that space.
I do have, I'm going to jump in here. I'll pull it up and can you hear me? Is it coming through? I can pull up the information, but there's a report done. The state of Iowa did, the Iowa Finance Authority did a report on homelessness across the state and what it looks like, what we're doing, and then how much more money is needed to kind of alleviate the problem instead of, it's a really cool article, so I can share some of that, but it talks about the dollar amount. I'm a numbers person, but kind of shares like what that would look like for us to be able to eliminate that issue. And Poweshiek was in there, so I can send that out and have it shared maybe. Anything else on?
Could you kind of go through some guidelines for giving to, as far as food and financial or anything else?
Yes. So We take non-expired, non-perishable foods at MICA. We do have a door in the back through the little alleyway. It's behind our front entry. So if you come through the alley, and our donation door is by the dumpsters at 609 4th Avenue. And then we take the monetary donations too. They can be mailed or dropped off, brought in. Some of the staple foods that we put out on the shelf would be cereal, tuna, canned chicken, fruits, vegetables. Our miscellaneous shelf is sometimes crackers, granola bars, dressings, juice. We also have on our shelves pasta, pasta sauce, macaroni and cheese, rice. We have a section of personal hygiene stuff that families can choose to take. We have a freezer that's in our choice pantry that shows all different varieties of frozen meats that we have, and they select a package based on their family size for the meat too. We work closely with the Grinnell Food Coalition. That was initiated during COVID for our community to address food insecurity, especially during COVID, and what resources were out there for families and to access. So that is a group that meets monthly to address food insecurity in Poweshiek County. What other type of foods? Oatmeal, peanut butter. Sometimes we do pancake syrup. Sometimes we do like a canned pasta, ramen noodles, some stuff that's kid friendly and easy for kids to make too. Is always necessary to think about too. Yeah.
When the crew came in 8:30 this morning, there was a guy sleeping out at the west entrance to the library on the concrete.
Yeah, so I think the staff members would, I don't know what they did, but they certainly, go and ask him what his needs may be. Tell him, hey, MICA is not open today because it's Wednesday, right? So hopefully they know that, or maybe not know that. But I would refer him to Kate Slater then at the Housing Authority, and hopefully someone talk to him to see what his story is and point him in the right direction. So, and then that doesn't happen a lot, right, in Grinnell, seeing someone on the street sleeping. So, yeah, and we've heard that families will tent camp because they are homeless, but maybe they have a tent. And yes, I have heard of people sleeping like on a park bench. So those are other ways that homeless looks like in Grinnell.
Are the police helpful in this case, or are people, like somebody in a park or something, are they afraid of if the police come? Are the police willing to help? Do you see anything like that?
The police have been always very cooperative with us. If we need, if they need to help, maybe give someone a ride out to the hotels, like if we can get a voucher for this person to stay, we have called like the non-emergency number, and then they'll give that individual a ride out to the hotel. And I guess it depends on the situation of the family. Maybe a family is leery of going to the police for one reason or another. I don't know. But they've always been very cooperative with us and other service agencies in town. They also have a mental health liaison that they work with. Faith is her name. So I think she's done a lot of good with the department, and she's able to go out on like crisis calls and work with that individual that may be having a mental health crisis. So that's a good step that we've done for the community, the police department.
All right. Any other questions on homelessness? Okay, I'm going to plug back in here, and we're all going to cross our fingers it doesn't freeze again. I did pull up, I wanted to kind of maybe go a little bit more in depth about, oh, we got the babies. Does it come up? Sorry. About some of our programs here. Where is it? I don't know. Is this where I need to adjust my screen? I am just not doing well here with my computer. Anyway, so I just wanted to go maybe a little bit more in depth about our programs that we serve and like kind of how those help families specifically in the. I'm just gonna leave this alone so you can stare at my kids. Go a little bit more in depth about some of our programs. So we talked about Head Start a little bit earlier, so I just kind of want to dive into there so you kind of know what we do and why it's important and what is at stake. So Head Start, again, is a federal grant that we are a designee for, Head Start and Early Head Start. Early Head Start is pregnant women through age 3, and then Head Start is 3 to 5 or kindergarten ready. And so our classroom is at our Grinnell office, and they are a 9-month program, and they go mostly all day, 8:30 to 3:30. So they're getting most of that childcare. We do have a really good partnership with the school district, and so sometimes kids will attend us for part of the day, and then we'll also go to the school district. Those teachers are always talking. So what makes Head Start different is it's a free program for anybody that qualifies. They do have to be income eligible to enroll in Head Start. So it's 130% or below of poverty for that family. There are some special considerations or kids get more points. We are a point-based system. If they're homeless, if they're in foster care, if they have any disabilities or on any special plans, that kind of gives them a little bit more points to come into our program. So with the changes with the state and adjusting to the data that we know, we are currently kind of restructuring our services. So only right now, today, in Grinnell, we do not have any early Head Start, so no specific services through early Head Start. There is Family Connections, but services for pregnant women through age 3. We just have the classroom. So starting next fall, we will be offering home-based early Head Start and home-based preschool. So as we saw earlier, transportation's a barrier, and children getting to preschool in Poweshiek is a barrier. So we have adjusted the dollars that we have. So there still will be a classroom in Grinnell that children can attend, but we will also have home visiting teachers. We call them preschool development specialists. We really like the words development and specialist, and we really like acronyms, okay? So our PDS, or preschool development specialist, will then go into families' homes once a week and provide that preschool education in the home with the children and their parents. And so it's kind of a combo. So they're getting that education piece, they're getting connected to resources and the developmental screenings and those things that they would get in our classroom. But they're also supporting and engaging the parents, because parents are our children's first and most important teacher, and so we want to give them all the tools that they need. And so they'll be getting both of those experiences. So that's really cool. We piloted it in Marshalltown this year, and it worked really well, especially for those younger kids or families who are struggling with transportation. And we will also have our early Head Start home base will come back to Poweshiek. And so that is our infant toddler development specialists, or what we call ITDSs. It looks very similar to the Head Start model. Our ITDSs go into the home once a week and provide that learning and that connection with the families. So the big piece about that is bringing their family in on that learning, whereas you go to the classroom and they're kind of doing their thing and you're not there. So we're really trying to kind of outreach to those kids that are in a preschool program right now. Additionally, with Head Start, so you get the education, you get the learning, you also get what we call a family development specialist. Are you seeing a theme here? Which we call FDSs. And so the teachers in the ITDSs and the PDSs focus on the kids and the child's development, whereas the family development specialist is going to focus on that family. So do you have enough food? Do you have health insurance? Do you have a doctor? Do you have a dentist? Connecting to those resources, are you facing eviction? What can we find? So just a little bit more of an in-depth look. And then we also provide nutrition education, health education. So we have a healthcare institute where it's a class parents can take and talk about how to measure medicine and what to do. So they aren't, sometimes when you're a new parent, you're running to the doctor when your kid bumps their head because you're just, and so it kind of goes through what you can do, what this looks like, when you should be worried, when to go. So it's definitely a huge holistic program, and all of that is for free for families who qualify. It's all high quality, so we have a ton, and by a ton I mean like thousands of performance standards that we have to follow to be a Head Start center. And so the quality of what children and families are getting, we have very strict guidelines that we meet, and we go above those to get other accreditations too. So it's really an encompassing program, and for families who, if we lose that program, families may not have that early childhood education. They're learning those, really important years through age 5. Their kids aren't going to they're going to start kindergarten not ready. And then families just won't have that support too. So any questions about Head Start and early Head Start? That's where I started. I was a family development specialist in Head Start. That was kind of where I started. So any questions? All right, we serve like 250 kids or more a year across our program areas in Head Start and Early Head Start. So, okay, and then LIHEAP, we talked about LIHEAP a little bit before when we were talking about the president sharing his budget. So LIHEAP is that energy assistance. It's a one-time payment for families who qualify to their energy source, so utilities, during the winter for those those freezing cold, high heat months to kind of alleviate some of that extra cost. So families have to be 200% of poverty or below. So much higher guidelines, we can help more people. That is a federal grant that's funneled through the state. So if it's wiped out of the federal, we won't have that. Once they're approved, we send the money directly to their utility provider, and then they cannot be shut off from the time that they're approved through April 1st. So if they get behind or struggling, they're protected with the moratorium that allows them to kind of make some wiggle room through April, so that then they can keep their energy on, keep their families warm. And when they do an application for LIHEAP, then that adds them to our weatherization list. So weatherization is a little bit more of a behind-the-scenes program that we offer, because families can't volunteer to join that. Lots of families would like to. I would like to. But our weatherization, it goes off of, we get a priority list of what families are using the most energy and have the highest bills. And they give us a priority list, and we go down the list. And so then our crews go in and make energy upgrades to the home. So they're filling insulation, filling holes, checking water heaters, checking appliances. 80% of the homes our guys go into have a gas leak, so it's really not safe. So they're increasing the safety in the homes, and all of this is free. So a couple, success stories that we have. There was a home in Collins that we did. We reduced her energy bills before we were done. Reduced her energy bills by $400 a month. And then most recently here in Toledo, a family had already seen a huge decrease in her bills, and they had just finished. And so I'm anticipating hers to be more than $400 a month, so I'm going to check in with her in a year and see how she's doing. But she talked about, I can sleep in my bedroom now. It's actually too hot for me. And just huge open gaps of insulation. And you could tell she was kind of like, now I have to adjust my sleeping because I've been freezing and now I'm sweating and I can't sleep. But it's really cool. And so each house is different, and we have really strict guidelines. So that's one of our really cool programs. We serve about 100 homes a year. That's, like I said, kind of behind the scenes that we people don't know that we do, but it really makes a huge difference. So hundreds of thousands of dollars of savings. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I'm glad you're watching for hands.
Going back to near the beginning of the presentation.
Yeah.
I think I heard or saw a slide that no dentist in Poweshiek will take Medicaid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How do families in Poweshiek, especially for their children,
Mm-hmm.
get dental services? Where do they have to go? What happens?
Well, I would say it's about some families choose not to. Some families don't have the resources, the time off to get to another place. Other families that are able to do that, they're traveling. I think the closest, so Primary Health in Marshalltown takes Medicaid insurance, but they have 6 to 7 week or more wait lists, and they do not do any treatment. So if a child comes in with any sort of cavity, Primary Health pulls back, and then they've got to be referred somewhere else, which is usually someplace in Des Moines, Iowa City. So they're doing lots of travel, lots of look around. We have some health staff who have lists, and they know exactly who does take Medicaid and who does provide those treatments. So if we get to them and they know to call us, we can kind of connect them to who's closest to them. We do we do iSmiles here? Oh, we do have an iSmile program that provides screenings in the classrooms of 4th and 7th grade, 4th, 5th, 7th, in some schools, and then they do provide some dental vouchers. And so we have a dentist in Marshalltown that we can refer families to, that the dentist takes them at basically half the cost. So we pay half of the normal cost of the treatment, and they just donate the rest. So it's really hard. It's really hard. And Mindy might not have some more specifics, but families are having to make really hard choices of maybe not having that preventative care.
Yeah, I know some of Medicaid insurance companies that are managing the Medicaid, families can call and request transportation, but it is a lot of hoops that a family has to jump through to arrange the transportation and get the time off of work, and then still travel.
And
so.
only one person can go with the patient. So if you're let's just say you're a stay-at-home mom, you have a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old. What are you gonna do with your 2-year-old? While you're on this if you don't have transportation. So we have hands, yeah.
I believe in the past years the local dentists have had a free day.
Yeah.
That I've read about in the Grinnell Herald.
Yes, yeah, I do. Marshtown actually had one of those days recently too, which has been huge. They've hundreds of kids.
And we always refer our families there through the Grinnell Dental Coalition. They do work with the local dentist and provide a free day of screenings and stuff for kids. So we do very much appreciate that. As you can hear, Grinnell community has a lot of coalitions and huge support through various service agencies, the Claude and Dolly Foundation. The Grinnell College is very supportive of community involvement and development. So that one slide up there where it talked about funding, that was solely about Poweshiek County, and that we here in Poweshiek County get a generous support from the community that we do not have to use any grants to help support.
Correct.
So that's
all of MICA's would look much different. Sorry if I wasn't clear for that, but yeah.
So specifically in the Grinnell office, serving Poweshiek families. We rely on community support, individual donations, donations from churches, grants, and then the United Way. So it says a lot about our community.
Yeah, Grinnell is our poster child of supportive communities. We have a lot of supportive
Yes.
communities across our service area, but Grinnell, they show up. So
Yeah.
Any questions about any of that? I can talk about WIC and child health too. Are we running out of time here?
No, you got a few minutes.
Okay. Just WIC and child health and maternal health, they're providing additional support to women and children. So they're getting extra food, so supplemental food, and then also lead testing and developmental screenings, depression screenings, prenatal vitamins, just a lot of support around healthy kids and healthy moms. And so that also comes here into Grinnell. And they can meet. And then I was going to share some stories. I have lots of, I'm not going to share my screen. Well, one, because it's frozen here. But for confidentiality purposes, I have over 100 stories just at my fingertips. Is there any specific program you'd like to know more about or hear, kind of the impact that we've had in that program, or you want me to just pull out some? Just find some. All right. So we at MICA, when we talk about success stories, it's helpful to know we don't define success stories as just those big successes. You started homeless and now you have a college degree and you're doing well for yourself. Like, those are huge successes, and yeah, we're going to shout to the rooftops. But the work that families have to put in to really kind of overcome some of those barriers and those challenges, those little things kind of make the most difference. I was thinking this morning, I want to kind of focus on those moments of hope, because those are the times that you see the growth and the magic happen. So I had this whole thing in my head this morning. So this one is a Grinnell story. So it's from our family development worker, Pam, who is kind of that first person you're going to see if you walk into the Grinnell office. So about a week ago, we got a call from a pastor who was wanting to donate a fridge, washer, dryer, and microwave because she was moving, no longer needed them. So fast forward to yesterday, when Geldwin and Grinnell did a massive layoff of all second and third shift employees, a young couple, the wife worked second shift at Geldwin for the last 8 years, were renting their appliances. So they weren't renting to own. They weren't able to purchase, right away, so they were renting to own. And now we'll have to send them back due to being laid off. They couldn't make those payments. This pastor called. Pam remembered, hey, we have a thing. So she called the pastor, connected her to the family, and now this family will have free appliances to replace the ones that they have, so they're able to still provide and cook for their family while they're doing those job searches and having. So a lot of times poverty is one thing away. So I thought that was a cool way to show kind of that those out of the box things that our staff are able to do that sometimes don't get highlighted. All right, let's see here. Some of these aren't programs in stories, or in Poweshiek. Here's one. So a family had received weatherization years ago, and called us, and through the recent disasters, the flooding and the hail and stuff, this family had a problem with their water heater. It wasn't working, and she remembered that we had gone in there, so she was calling to see if there was some kind of warranty or way that we could help her with that damage. So it had been 10 plus years since we'd been in that lady's home, but she still remembered, that we could connect her. So unfortunately, we didn't have any warranty. There was nothing we could do, and but we sent someone out to look at it, and they also said, like, the manufacturer's not going to have a warranty on this either. You're kind of, she'd just gone through some health issues, some hardships. Her husband had passed recently, so she was really kind of just really in a hard spot. So our family development director, Robin, knew that there had been a donation, and so we had some kind of extra funds that were unrestricted that we could use to support families how we needed. And so we were able to contact Hardin's out of Tama. They're one of our contractors that we see right away. They went out that day to check the lady's, ended up being her furnace was broken, not her water heater. Went out, oh, nope, it was her water heater, sorry. Anyways, her water heater, Hardin's went out, said it can't be fixed, here's the estimate of what I would need to replace it. And it came in like $200, $300 more than this extra funding that we had. So through our partnership with Hardin, they knocked it down to the cost that we had of the extra money. And they, she had a brand new water heater the next day. And so that's just a way that the community kind of comes together. You know, we can't do this on our own. I can't go in and fix anybody's water heater. Man, I wouldn't even know where to start. But we have that connections with Hardin's, and he knows, you know, the work that we do, and he supports his community. And then they were able to have hot water and not have that other barrier too. So I think that one's a good one. Okay. I have lots more if you ever need more.
Yeah, I'm sure there's so many stories. So thank you so much, Mindy and Abra. Thank you. We have had a wonderful inside look at how MICA is truly making a difference in Grinnell and Poweshiek County. Thank you so much for all the work you do. Yeah. We look forward to seeing everyone next Wednesday, May 14th, when Grinnell College Professor Monty Roper and Director of Community Development Melissa Strovers will give us an inside look at the Build a Better Grinnell project, which is helping us understand Grinnell's local needs. See you next week. Thank you.